Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating perspective on human potential, drawing straight from a powerful piece by author Salima. We're going to explore this massive epiphany she had about the invisible barriers that keep us all stuck in life. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever felt like you're just standing on the sidelines of your own life? Like you're watching other people get exactly what you want, and you just quietly decide, well, they must just be special. Well, what we're looking at today is going to challenge that notion head on. So, this striking realization actually hit the author completely out of the blue. She was literally just on a walk to the train station, thinking about this transformative course she created called Responding to Life Differently. And right there, somewhere between one step and the next, this thought just stopped her in her tracks. The core issue most of us face. It isn't our actual circumstances. Actually, scratch that. It's our inability to tell the difference between the reality and your reality. To really wrap our heads around this, think about a massive metropolitan city. How is it possible that millions of people can occupy the exact same space, yet live radically different lives? I mean, they're walking the identical streets, right? Breathing the exact same air, moving through a common physical space, yet their lived experiences are like night and day. It's a shared reality, but a totally different lived experience. The physical circumstances, the buildings, the infrastructure, they're really just raw materials. So what actually creates that massive divide? And this brilliantly illustrates the answer. The difference between two people and that shared space, it isn't always about money. It's not always luck or who you know. It actually comes down to these three internal factors. First, how you process what's around you. Second, what you genuinely believe is available to you. And third, what you've quietly and often totally unconsciously decided about who you are and what you actually deserve. See, some people walk through their environment actively hunting for opportunities. Others navigate that exact same space just collecting evidence that they're stuck. And the uncomfortable truth, both people end up finding exactly what they're looking for. Which brings us to this highly impactful quote from T.D. Jake's book, Disruptive Thinking, that Salima references in her writing. Be complicit in the transformation you are praying for. Just let that sink in for a second. The power to change isn't out there in the world somewhere. It's already inside you. If you want a different life, you can't just be a bystander. You have to be complicit. It really highlights a super uncomfortable truth for a lot of us. How often do we pray for something to change with our mouths while simultaneously building a mental case against it in our own minds? Section 6, Salima's Journey, From Longing to Living in Bukit Bintang. Let's move to and see how this builds in a real-world context. We're going to transition from abstract theory into a deeply personal case study so we can see exactly how these mental dynamics play out in real life. So, when Salima first arrived in Malaysia, she immediately fell head over heels for an area called Pavilion at Bukit Bintang. Almost every single week, she'd walk there from KLCC, but the entire time she walked, this thought just kept looping in her head. Man, I would love to live here, but I can't afford it. Someone like me does not live here. Notice what her brain was doing there. It was making limiting statements, not asking questions. And for years, she remained literally imprisoned by the story she kept telling herself about who belonged in that neighborhood and who didn't. Now, this brings us to a massive turning point. Let's slow down and look at the physical world for a second. Out there were absolutely no signs on the road with her picture saying she was forbidden to live there, right? There was no official notification of rejection. But inside her mental prison, it was constructed entirely out of unquestioned assumptions. She felt real pain, angst, and anger watching other people live the life she wanted. And she quietly decided those people just had to be special. Because, well, if they weren't special, if that life was actually available to anyone willing to reach for it, she'd have to confront what that meant about her own choices. The barrier was 100% in her mind. So how long do you think it actually took to overcome this years-long barrier once she finally shifted her mindset? 1 month. Less than 30 days. The day she finally made the firm decision to move next to the Twin Towers, she made it happen in under a month. After years of telling herself it was completely impossible, all it took was a leap of faith. Was she spared? Absolutely, for sure. But she did it anyway, and she found out that the life she used to watch others have was always available to her. She had just been way too busy collecting evidence that it wasn't. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the contrast between the two very different internal dialogues you can choose to have. You could share a city, a job, or even a financial situation with someone else, but one of you is cementing the walls in by asking, why can't I have this? While the other is building a way out by asking, how can I make this possible? The people who move forward in life aren't inherently more gifted or luckier, they've just decided to ask better questions. Instead of scanning their environment for proof that they're trapped, they actively scan it for the opening, the angle, the next move. Let's take a second to formally define this foundational concept, because this is kind of the ultimate takeaway from the source material. The reality is simply where you are. It's the raw, objective material of your circumstances. Your reality, on the other hand, is the meaning you assign to those circumstances and what you choose to build with them. Remember, you are always building something with your raw materials. The real question is whether you're building a prison or a pathway. So the crucial point is that mental shackles are incredibly insidious, precisely because they're invisible. You cannot see them. Nobody externally put them on you. And because of that, you can't blame anyone else for them. As the author points out, this is both the absolute hardest and the most liberating thing to accept. Why? Because if you are the one who put them on, well, you're the only one who has the power to take them off. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this provocative challenge from the author. Take a good look at your life right now. Your neighborhood, your income, your relationships, your possibilities. What are you actually looking for? Are you actively looking for opportunities? Or are you just looking for evidence that you're stuck? Remember, your brain is extraordinarily good at its job. It will find exactly what you send it out to find. So what are you telling it to look for today?